The term food security keeps cropping up more and more these days.
Yes, interestingly, the United Nations have food security as one of their main objectives for sustainability. They've actually defined food security, I think, as the availability of safe, affordable and nutritious food for the world's population. And increasingly, meeting that challenge is becoming a problem due to a number of reasons. We've got climate change is affecting food security, we've got soil health, we've got fertilizer availability, we've got water availability. All of these are impacting on food security. In a number of cases, food security is being maintained by importing food from other regions of the globe. Again, as we're seeing, fuel costs are increasing and importation of food can't always be relied on.
Yeah, so that's like a threat on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
You and I are familiar with the term, and it's nice to hear it mentioned. Of course, we both work and research at the Institute of Global Food Security and Cookies, so it's nice to see it out in the press. But it's a very real issue, and that's why academic institutions are looking to develop expertise in this area to help governments globally.
I think over the past 20 years, people have become used to seeing the shelves stocked with lots of different types of food. And as we move again into more uncertain times, that's not always going to be the case.
So how are biostimulants and Maxstim biostimulants able to help that?
Yeah, well, I think biostimulants can help us address a number of those challenges. We're talking about climate change. Biostimulants can have a dramatic effect on producing crops in a more variable climate.
In a more challenging climate.
Yes, and that can be water availability, too much water. It can be increasing salt levels in irrigation water, which we're seeing in the south of England.
Higher UV levels.
All of these, yeah. And again, we know from our genetic work that our biostimulants can modify and improve the ability of the plant to cope with those stresses. We've also touched before on the fertilizer problem, and again, that's quite an imminent threat to crop production right around the world. And again, we know that biostimulants can help us use our fertilizers more effectively.
So with the increasing population, obviously there's more demand as well. So we've got all these issues of availability, but increased demand at the same time.
Yes, and competition for land for different uses is a problem.
I mean, with the increase of energy costs, there's an inclination of some farmers to set aside some of their land for energy generation.
Yes.
Like solar power, etc.
Yes.
Reduces the availability for food production.
And again, where before we may have been relying on importation of food from other regions of the planet, that may not be the case if the cost of fuel remains high. It'll be too expensive to bring in.
And also, if there's a local shortage, then there'll be a reluctance from the traditional exporters to export valuable foodstuffs.
We've seen that with India. I think they've been restricting the exports of wheat, and that's having an impact on their usual importers of that.
So the increasing global population is placing a demand of the order of 10 to 20% improvement required to existing supply to adequately feed the world. So the work that you and I have done has demonstrated that we can increase crop yields, existing crop yields, by that amount. So it's an obvious thing to get involved in.
And certainly one of the things that we're currently engaged with is just testing the biostimulants against a wider range of crops. We know that we can produce positive effects in different crop types, but specific crops, specific varieties of those crops all have their own idiosyncrasies. So we're trying to gain knowledge on how best to use our biostimulants in particular situations. And that takes a lot of effort. It's expensive, and but I think we've seen already during 2022 that we're getting some really interesting data from field trials that are matching what we've seen in the laboratory.
A great deal of research needs to be done. We've done a lot at Maxstim, and we think we've come a long way, and we've got some answers to some of these problems.
But an awful long way to go as well.
Absolutely.